Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something really fascinating, nonverbal communication.
Yeah, all those cues we send out, often without even realizing it, that massively shape how people see us and how they interact with us.
Exactly. You know those people who just command attention or seem to connect instantly? A lot of that comes down to this hidden language.
Right, and that's what we want to do in this deep dive. We've pulled together insights from, well, all over body language experts on YouTube, some interesting scientific studies on things like online dating.
Research looking at emotional intelligence and leadership, even some classic advice on just getting along with people.
And the goal is really to boil it all down.
Yeah.
We want to give you the key takeaways so you become more aware of your own signals and better at reading others.
All without feeling like you're drowning in information, right? Sort of a shortcut to understanding this crucial stuff.
Precisely. Help make your communication more effective, build stronger relationships, whether that's at work or just in life generally.
Okay, let's jump in. The sheer power of nonverbal stuff. It's kind of mind-blowing when you look at it.
It really is. One expert we came across mentioned your brain is something like 12.5 times more likely to believe a gesture than what you actually say.
12.5 times? Wow. That explains that gut feeling you sometimes get, doesn't it? When someone's words sound okay, but something feels off.
It's probably their body language giving something away. It's just harder to consciously control, harder to lie with. Think about this, say, 5, hold up 3 experiment they mentioned. Your body often tells the truth.
So this hidden language, as they call it, it seems like really successful people often have a good grasp of this, maybe intuitively.
It seems that way. They're just more attuned. And think about first impressions. The research suggests a huge chunk, like 82%, comes down to just 2 things.
Warmth and competence, right?
Exactly. Do you seem friendly, approachable, and do you seem like you know what you're doing?
Okay, so if you feel like you're not quite connecting or maybe not being taken as seriously as you'd like, focusing on these warmth and competence cues could be huge.
It's a total game changer. It can make you more memorable, project confidence, just make everything clear. Understanding this gives you a real advantage.
Let's dig into that a bit more. Starting with warmth, how do we actually signal that, signal likability?
Well, one concept discussed was aggressively liking people, which sounds a bit much.
Yeah, a bit intense.
But it's not about being fake or pushy. It's more about actively showing genuine positive intent, giving those verbal and nonverbal assurances that you value them, that you want to connect.
So it's about making the first move, emotionally speaking, showing you're open and positive.
Pretty much. It taps into that basic human need to feel liked and seen.
Yeah.
When you do that proactively, people tend to relax, their defenses lower.
Makes sense. And they mentioned those 3 magic phrases.
Like, I was just thinking of you.
But the key is authenticity, isn't it? You can't just say it randomly.
Absolutely not. It's when someone genuinely pops into your head and you actually act on it. Send that quick text, that short message. It shows they matter.
And that creates this positive loop, right? You make someone feel liked.
And they're much more likely to like you back. It can genuinely shift the dynamic in relationships, personal and professional.
Okay, let's flip to the other side of that coin. Competence. Projecting confidence.
Yeah, this is where body language gets really interesting. Our expert talked about contracted posture.
What does that mean exactly?
Think minimal hand gestures, maybe clutching something, keeping your arms really tight to your body, almost shrinking physically. They use the analogy of a penguin holding its arms rigidly.
Right, I can picture that. It signals anxiety, maybe a lack of confidence.
That's the idea. And the opposite, opening up, releasing that space between your arms and torso, using your hands more naturally when you talk. That tends to project more confidence.
This ties into Amy Cuddy's work on power posing, doesn't it? Her TED Talk was huge.
Exactly. She points out that taking up space, physically opening up, is like a universal sign of power. You see it across the animal kingdom, and in humans too.
And the really wild part was the hormonal connection.
Her research suggested just 2 minutes in a high-power pose could potentially increase testosterone.
The dominance hormone.
And decrease cortisol, the stress hormone. And low-power poses, being hunched over, seem to do the opposite.
So think about waiting for a job interview. Instead of scrolling on your phone, all hunched up.
Maybe find a private space and do a quick power pose. Stand tall, open up.
Right.
It sounds a bit strange, but it connects to her whole idea of fake it till you become it.
Right, using your body to influence your mind, especially helpful if you're dealing with imposter syndrome feelings. Your posture can actually help you feel more powerful, more like you belong.
Definitely something to experiment with.
Okay, let's shift again. Attraction cues. This research by Monica Moore was really counterintuitive for me.
In those social settings, like bars or clubs,
Yeah.
it wasn't just about who was the most conventionally attractive.
No. It was about who signaled they were available to be approached. That was the key factor.
It makes sense when you think about it. Someone might be stunning, but if their body language is totally closed off, arms crossed, avoiding eye contact, facing away.
You're not going to approach them, are you? It feels like a rejection waiting to happen.
Exactly. So signaling availability means things like keeping your torso open. Don't block it with your arms or a bag.
And that thing about the feet. Cause on feet.
Huh. Yeah, sort of angling your body and feet slightly towards the room, towards the flow of people, not closed off in a corner. And making eye contact, small, darting glances around the room.
They actually counted them in the research, something like 8 glances.
Around that, yeah. Enough to signal I'm open to interaction, without staring, obviously. It shows that approachability is an active signal you send out.
And that probably looks quite different in a busy bar versus, say, a one-on-one date where you're already interacting.
Sure, the context matters. But the principle of open versus closed body language is pretty consistent.
Okay, what about online? So much interaction happens there now. How do nonverbals play out?
Well, there was this interesting study on online dating chats. They looked at using avatars, those little digital representations of ourselves.
Right. Did they make a difference compared to just plain text?
They did, significantly. Chats that included avatars, whether they were just static images or had some movement or even reacted a bit.
Led to more positive impressions overall. People were more willing to share information and felt, more interested in actually pursuing things with that person.
Compared to just text, yeah. It adds a layer of nonverbal information, even if it's simulated.
Were there any, gender differences in how people reacted?
There were, actually.
Yeah.
For women, generally, the more nonverbal cues the avatar provided, the better their perception seemed to get.
Okay.
For men, it was a bit more nuanced. They liked static and subtly moving avatars more than just text, but their perception actually dipped a little with the really responsive avatars compared to just the static ones.
Huh. Interesting. So maybe too much simulated nonverbal information felt off to them.
Possibly. It suggests we need to be kind of thoughtful about how we represent ourselves visually online. Using avatars or video can add a lot, but the type of cue might matter.
Definitely food for thought for our digital lives. Let's switch senses now to sound, the voice.
Ah, yes, the voice. Such a powerful instrument, as Julian Treasure calls it in his TED Talk. We all play it, but maybe not always effectively.
He talks about those 7 deadly sins of speaking, right? Things that just make people tune out.
Exactly, like gossip, judging others, constant negativity, or complaining.
Excuses, lying, being dogmatic, insisting you're right about everything.
Yeah, all those things make it really hard to listen to someone. They create barriers. We've all been there, right? Stuck listening to someone just complaining endlessly.
Draining. But he also offers a positive framework, HAIL.
Right. HAIL. Honesty being truthful. Authenticity being yourself. Integrity being true to your word. And love, which he frames as wishing people well. Basically, speaking positively.
But it's not just what you say, it's how. The vocal toolbox.
There's so much there. Your register, are you speaking from your chest, which adds weight, or more nasally?
Timbre, the quality, the warmth or coldness of your tone. Prosody, that's the music, right? The rhythm, the pitch changes that convey emotion.
Yeah, avoiding monotone. Then there's pace, varying your speed. Silence, using pauses for emphasis. And volume being heard without sodcasting.
Blasting everyone nearby.
Yeah, so consciously using these tools, register, timbre, prosody, pace, silence, volume, makes a huge difference in whether people actually hear you and connect with your message.
Okay, let's broaden out slightly to emotional and social intelligence. We hear a lot about EI, emotional intelligence, especially in leadership.
Right, understanding and managing your own emotions and recognizing emotions in others. It's crucial. Though, interestingly, some argue it's maybe less a distinct intelligence and more a set of, introspective skills.
Like Locke's view mentioned in one paper. But it connects closely with social intelligence, doesn't it? Which is more about navigating relationships and social situations smoothly.
Exactly. And this is where we get into those fascinating low road and high road brain circuits.
Explain those a bit.
Okay, think of the low road as your fast, automatic emotional pathway. It's where those fleeting micro-expressions might leak out a quick flash of anger or fear before you even process it.
And the high road is the slower, conscious thinking part, the part that tries to manage your expressions.
Precisely. So social intelligence involves noticing when there's a mismatch, when the fast emotional reaction doesn't quite align with the more controlled expression or the words being said.
Those are the hot spots Paul Ekman talks about. Clues that something else might be going on under the surface, maybe deception or hidden feelings.
Yeah, those little inconsistencies between the channels of communication. Very revealing if you learn to spot them.
So, putting some of this together, how do we actively cultivate better interactions? Dale Carnegie's classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People, seems super relevant here.
Absolutely timeless stuff. His first principle: become genuinely interested in other people.
Which links back perfectly to that aggressively liking idea, right? Show sincere interest.
Totally. Principle 2, smile.
Yeah.
A real, genuine smile. It's powerful, nonverbal warmth.
Principle 3, remember names. Makes people feel seen, important. It's such a basic thing, but so effective.
Definitely. Principle 4, be a good listener. Encourage people to talk about themselves. Think of Freud. His reputation was partly built on incredible listening.
Principle 5, talk in terms of the other person's interests, like that story of the lawyer learning about boats just to connect with a boy.
Yeah, finding that common ground. And principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Real appreciation, not flattery, like the dad praising his son for buying his own bed.
These are just fundamental pillars of good interaction, still incredibly valid today.
For sure. And there are a few other neat concepts from our sources related to social dynamics, like finding your social sweet spots.
Meaning, like, the situations or environments where you naturally feel most comfortable and effective socially.
Yeah, exactly. Some people shine in big groups, others in one-on-one. Knowing your strengths helps.
And finding conversational hot buttons, those topics people are passionate about.
Right. Using open-ended questions to discover those. And the 5 whys technique, digging deeper to understand motivations.
That can lead to much richer conversations.
Definitely. Then there are ideas about personality matrices, how we tend to connect with similar people, and the importance of knowing your own values for feeling content.
And storytelling. Using a hook, showing the struggle. Using vivid language makes you more memorable.
Hugely important. Oh, and that copy machine study.
Right. Just giving a reason, any reason, makes people much more likely to comply with a request. Can I cut in line because I need to make copies? Even a weak reason works surprisingly well.
The psychology of because. Fascinating. And finally, just being able to recognize those basic facial expressions, anger, contempt, etc., gives you so much more information in any interaction.
So wrapping this all up, the big takeaway seems to be that this nonverbal stuff, this hidden language, is incredibly powerful.
It really is. Understanding your own cues, managing them consciously, and getting better at reading others, it's a genuine skill set.
And the good news is, it is a skill set. It's learnable. It's not some magic ability only a few people have.
Exactly. And developing it can lead to, well, more confidence, stronger connections, just more success in navigating the social world.
So here's a thought for you, our listener, to take away from this deep dive.
Think about a social interaction you had recently. Could be anything: work meeting, chat with a friend, ordering coffee.
Now reflect on the nonverbal cues. What were you sending out? What did you notice from the other person?
And now, knowing what we've discussed today, is there maybe one thing you might try doing differently next time you're in a similar spot?
It's really about bringing more awareness to it, isn't it? We definitely encourage you to explore the sources we mentioned if anything sparked your interest.
Yeah, and just start paying more attention. It's like adding a new layer of understanding to the world around you.
Yeah.
An ongoing journey.
And we'll definitely be exploring more related topics in future deep dives to help build on this understanding of human interaction.